So let's do a quick review of aid station navigation here. So first things first, you want to, before you even start a training, once you've got that race picked, start looking at the website and familiarizing yourself with what options you have at this particular event between what's at the aid stations as well as distance between the aid stations. That way you can start piecing together a beginning of what your plan A, plan B, and plan C may look like in terms of options you have available to you, as well as getting an idea of the spacing between aid stations. So you know that in training, whether it be your long runs or tune-up races, how you're going to practice and fine-tune your actual needs over specific timeframes for the variance you may have between short stretches between aid stations and longer stretches between aid stations. From there, you can begin to practice these things in training as ways to kind of stress test whether the plan A, plan B, and plan C is actually going to work the way you want it to, and just get confidence and confirmation that it is indeed the strategy that is going to present the least amount of risk from both a digestion and a dehydration or a lack of interest on the race day itself. Next, you want to start thinking about what it is you are going to likely be needing when you enter the aid stations. So this is a little bit more of what do I do on race day itself? And that is just familiarizing yourself with the process of, once I'm a mile or a kilometer or so out from an aid station, start running through your mind the list of things that you're going to want and need in that next aid station. So when you get in there, you can do it in a very ordered manner, in a sense that you know what you need, you can get it, so you're not wasting time making decisions while you're standing still in the aid stations. Planning far enough ahead so that you know certain aid stations are going to have more things available than others. Certain aid stations are going to have drop bags where you may have a quick exchange where you're taking off a pack and grabbing a new one, and maybe that's all you need to really do because everything you need is already in that second pack. Those are all the things you're going to want to thinking about as you're getting into the aid station. Which one is this? Is this an aid station where I'm going to have to do a lot of self-serving at the aid station? Is this an aid station I have a crew? Is this an aid station I have a drop bag? And then ultimately, in some cases, is this an aid station where I can count on there being a lot of volunteers there to maybe help me out? Ultimately, once you enter it is when you'll get some confirmation as to whether you'll have any assistance from, say, race volunteers, depending on how many other people are likely in there. And you will have to be doing some in the moment decision making. But if you've already predetermined what exactly it is you're trying to get from there, it's going to be a lot easier to go in there and start executing that plan. Once you have the stuff that you need, begin exiting the aid station. At that point, if you've checked off those things in the list, even if it includes things like shoes changes, clothing changes, digging through a drop bag to grab warm clothes or something like that, once you have all that stuff, don't sit around in the aid station and spend extra time organizing it, starting to eat it and drink it there, second guessing things. Go in there with that intention, trust that you have what you have because you've planned, then start walking out. Once you start walking out, you can be clipping your pack on, you can be positioning your handheld the way you want, you can be sticking gels or a baggie of solid foods or something in a pack, or even beginning the drinking and eating process as you're walking out. I find that when you're exiting the aid station, walking is going to help make some of that fueling and hydration, the start of that, a little bit easier than when you're running. So save yourself some of the non-moving time and get out there, even if it's at a slower walk, to make sure that you are out of that aid station and less likely to find yourself in a situation spending more time than you intended because you're just not giving yourself that option any longer. So one thing I will add about that is that type of a strategy definitely does favor someone who actually does a thorough job of planning their entrance and what they need, their checklist of what they need in an aid station, because obviously if you go in with a subpar checklist and you get out quickly, you can run the risk of forgetting something that you don't need. And even though you got out of there quickly, find yourself in a situation where you lose time because you don't have something you need. So do make sure you are doing your due diligence in terms of when you are that mile to kilometer out of the aid station, actually running through the list of, okay, this aid station is what I need. This is what I need to get. Once I get it, I'm on my way.